it's sort of like this. And it's constantly like this. Like any business, really. Any business that I think you can rely on is going to be like this, because you have to innovate. And innovation creates disruption and uncertainty. But if you ever stop innovating, you find yourself, and then it's just, those buggy whips. Nobody's buying them anymore. Why is that? Because there's cars. So you have to innovate. So, but I think it's meaningful. If you get anything from this, what we share tonight, I think it's meaningful for you to understand the essence of what we do, because what we found is, particularly as the rise in income that people were seeing, that people started to get mesmerized or attracted to that income, and where our initial intent when we started this was help people get healthy and fit and redefine the fitness space. It turned into something that was like, yeah, that'll be great. I just want another car like you have, or I want to pay off my debt like you did. So what do I have to do? What do I have to sell? What's that thing? That shape? That seems expensive, but you got a new car, so I'm going to do that. So I'll get to that, but my point is that it got sort of off the rails. And while the company, or at corporate, we have maintained what we believe is our center. We can't control 400,000 people who are coaches, and the attraction of the easiest sell of all. The easiest sell of all is you could make lots of money doing this. Like, that's the easiest thing to sell is money, ironically. And that's always been sort of the third rail of the business, because. And in fact, it goes back to the very start. We started the company in 1998, John and I, and we said whatever we're going to do, we don't even know it's going to be fitness, but whatever we do, it's going to be substantial, and we're going to use infomercials, because I was an infomercial guy, and we'll use infomercials to sell it, because it's a very powerful medium. And we'll start with fitness, because I had a background in that. I created this product called 8 Minute Abs, because I was in the shower one day, and I was like, gross. And literally, and a friend of mine had told me that, like a friend of mine from college had said, I was like, man, you're looking good. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm doing abs of steel. I'm like, what are you talking about, abs of steel? Don't be, what a loser. And he's like, no, it's like 10 minutes long. I said, let me see that. I was like, no, it's not 10 minutes long. It's an hour-long videotape. He's like, no, the workout is just 10 minutes long. I'm like, well, why did they give you the rest? He goes, there's other segments. And so that sort of just stayed up there. So this one day I'm in the shower, I'm like, gross. And why don't, like, if I could just do 10 minutes of ab work a day, and that would work, like, that's cool. And I was in this little company, and I thought, 10 minute abs doesn't really have any ring to it, but 8 minute abs, that's got a really cool ring to it. So I said to my partner at the time, I was like, I got this idea, like we could shoot 8 minute abs, 8 minute arms, 8 minute buns, 8 minute legs, 8 minute stretch. And we can do it all for like 30 grand, we'll own it, and we can sell it on TV. He's like, really? And I said, yeah. And so we did that, we sold 2 million of them. And like there was so little videotape, like you remember VHS? There was so little videotape, you would look into the VHS and you couldn't even see any black. It was just 2 white little spindles. And so we sold 2 million of them for $20 a piece. It was just like 4 of us in an office. And then we were like, oh, let's sell this at retail. So we went to the big retailers, and they were like, who would pay $20 for a videotape where they can't even see any videotape on it? Like, nobody's going to pay $20 for 8 minutes of video. And I said, yeah, they will, because they're actually paying you $20 not to give them the other 52 minutes that everybody else is giving. So anyway, that never sold at retail. We couldn't convince them, but the concept is really strong. And my partner, and I said, look, there's something here. People want to, working out at home and making it sort of gratifying and interesting, convenient. There's really something here. And he was like this Texas guy, and he's like, nah, let's not do that. Let's come up with other ideas. And the one thing that he wanted to do was he found this sort of roll of hay. We named it the Instant Flower Garden. It was like impregnated with little flower seeds. You roll it out 6 feet, you water it, and weeds come up. But some flowers would come up too. So the Instant Flower Garden, we sold a lot of those, and secrets of blackjack and grandmother's kitchen wisdom and all these little ideas. And I was like, I really think that fitness one was substantial. He's like, no, I don't want to do it. So I sold my stake in that business, moved to California, and that's where I met John Congdon. And we worked together at a different company. And I said, hey, I got a bunch of ideas. I had written them on a placemat at a brunch. And some of them were fitness, and some of them were like music and housewares, like cooking stuff. And I said, if we go raise some money like I did with that company, I think we could make something happen here. So we started, the company was Product Partners at first. And we said, whatever's gonna work first, that's what we're gonna go with. So the first thing we're gonna do is something like that 8-minute abs thing. And we did Thin Thighs Guaranteed, which was an 8-minute thigh program. And then we did Great Abs Guaranteed. The first one was with Debbie Siebers, and then we had Tony Horton did Great Abs. And we shot them all in one day on the beach without any permits. We tried to hide from the cops. And so it was pretty funny. And then, in fact, we had it all set up. In fact, the cops did come, and they were like, where's your permit? And I was like, oh, let me send my assistant to the office over there in Santa Monica. So we kept shooting, and the assistant never came back. And I was like, oh, let me call, da-da-da. So eventually they were like, all right, you got a half hour left. And we knocked them out really fast. I mean, they were 8 minutes. And, but those worked. And so when that worked, Beachbody was created. Like, okay, we're going to be a fitness company now. And by worked, it sold on TV. Like, people bought it efficiently enough that it was a profitable business. And that led to the creation of this concept that I'd had since, really since college. Again, similar to the 8-minute abs story, I wasn't making any time to work out, and I didn't know really what to do. And you go to a gym, and you're like, oh, now I'm in part of this gym for the rest of my life. I'll start next month. No, I'll start next month. And then it was like, if I could just break it off and I'm just going to do 90 days, Power 90, right? So that was this idea. We had such a good run with Tony that John and Tony and I, John Congdon is the president of the company, and Tony Horton and I, we would go to Tony's apartment every day for 90 days, and with a little meal plan, and we would do these workouts. And there'd be, most days I didn't want to go. I'd be like, I'll do it at home. And John would be like, no, you're coming. And he would drag me out. We'd go do it. And we'd work things out with Tony and refine what he was doing and how he was cueing it. Different than sort of a personal trainer style, which was, a personal trainer will sort of work with a client to what the client's needs are. And we were like, no, you need to work with 1 million clients at once here. So you need to lay down, what is the right thing that I'm going to do? So I can't ask you if I'm on video. So we created this thing, Power 90, and that sold like crazy. Like the first year that got going did like $30 million in sales. Like this whole thing, and people in the industry, in the infomercial industry, were like, this is ridiculous. You're showing people sweating and doing hard work. That can't sell. You need something you can just put between your knees. I am getting so fit. Or something you can just step. I'm watching TV. So, that was the infomercial industry, right? Every season, every year, a new thing would come out that would be like this gimmick. An ab belt, it's working. So, it's FDA approved. I don't know what the FDA has with a belt. Like, they have nothing to do with it. Food and Drug Administration, I don't get it, but it's approved by the FDA. So I think they're a little bit out of their expertise lane. But, so Power 90 did really well, and then we came out with Slim in 6, and that took the company up to $60 million, ironically, and then we just sort of continued to iterate on that. And then, at about the same time that we, about the same time we launched P90X, because we had all these customers from Power 90 who had really good results, and then they were like, what next? And we had these message boards, and they kept saying, what next? We want the next thing. And we're like, well, just keep doing Power 90 again, or go figure it out now. You're free. Go run, go lift things. And they're like, no, we want another thing that we can do in our living room. We're like, oh, okay. So we had this idea for P90X, and again, we had media buyers and telemarketing people and industry professionals saying, all right, wait, now you got away with the Power 90 thing, so now you're going to show people doing pull-ups and squats with lots of weights and a yoga routine that's 90 minutes long and, plyometrics. You're out of your mind. And from our perspective, what we were doing, it was ridiculous because you could go buy a workout DVD. Power 90 was $60, but you could go to the local bookstore and you could buy a DVD for $14.95, right, or $19.95.
Yeah.
And so here we were going to sell P90X for $120, and this is in 2005. But we were looking at it as a box of videotapes or a box of DVDs. We were looking at it as a competitor to Bowflex, who was doing $1.2 billion a year selling this $1,500 contraption with great before and after photos. And we're like, wait a minute, they make me no promise in terms of time. I still got to figure out how to eat. So let's give people the whole solution, and they've got gravity at home. And so they get a couple dumbbells and a pull-up bar, and they're going to be able to do it. Or they use the bands, they don't have to do pull-ups. And so we're going to position ourselves against Bowflex with that. So we were like, genius, let's do it. So we came up with the name P90X, or Power 90 Extreme, and marketed that, put that on TV. Bomb. Didn't work at all. Product was rejected. But we kept trying, and that was in sort of early 2005. And at the same time when that happened, we were like, uh-oh, we might be wrong about this. Now the good news is the Power 90 people that were asking for it on the message boards were all over P90X. So we were selling literally hundreds of thousands of dollars of that a week. Not millions of dollars, which is where we wanted to be, but hundreds of thousands, and that's cash flow, and that's good. So that's going. Meanwhile, we're testing the show, and John and I are, we got really good results with P90X. We're in the show. We got really good results with Power 90. We're in that show. So we were at lunch one day, and we were like, where's this business going? So here we are on TV. I don't know how high up is, but eventually this is going to sort of top out, and we don't even know how many people who are buying Power 90 are actually doing it. Like we would meet people and say, hey, you bought Power 90? That's awesome. How were your results? Well, I did the first week. Or people would buy P90X, and how were your results? I'm going to start it any day now. I was like, yeah, we didn't know. So our goal, our mission statement as Beachbody was help people achieve their goals to lead healthy, fulfilling lives. So at this lunch, we were like, why was it that John and I, non-fitness people who eat pizza at every meal possible and skip every workout possible, got such great results with Power 90 and then P90X? And we sort of broke it down into two things. One was this dynamic that either John dragged me to the workout or I dragged him to the workout. So we had this accountability. Obviously, Tony was dragging us to the workout, and he and I were going to blow it off. And then the other side of it was, we knew that if we got good results, we were going to be the walking billboards. We were going to be the first testimonials for the product. And so we would be on TV and we could make a lot of money from our results. So we had this financial motivation. So we thought, and looking at the message boards, we would see post after post of people saying, I'm selling more to your product than anybody else because I got such good results. I walk into a party and people will be like, how did you do that? I got to do it too, right? So, you get those results and you walk in and people are like, I got to do that too. Oh, I get to eat just burgers and cheese, the Atkins diet, right? I'm going to do that too. And so they just sort of follow wherever they see results. So we thought, if that's the dynamic happening, and these people who are doing the hard thing of 90 days of work, or if it's Slim in 6, they're doing 6 weeks of work. I mean, you know how hard it is. You might even be in the middle of it. Like, it is hard to stay consistent, particularly if you're by yourself. So, if somebody manages to put it all together for 90 days or multiple rounds and lose 100 pounds or get off of medication or just get out of some bad relationship because they feel better about themselves, all these dynamics happening, that's creating demand for our products, they deserve a piece of the action. Right? It's only fair. They did the work, we created the product, okay, but they did the work that's selling it now. So we thought maybe we can, through network marketing, create this opportunity where, similar to what John and I had, we could create peer-to-peer accountability, A, and B, a financial incentive to see it through, and once you lose the weight, keep it off, because now you're a walking billboard and now it's your business. So similar to me being up here, I gotta sort of keep it in check, because if I was 50 or 60 pounds bigger than this, you might question whether I really believe in what I'm talking about. When I say be the proof the product works to coaches, I sort of have to do that too as the CEO. Doesn't mean you need to be six-pack person or super ripped Tony Horton or super lean Autumn Calabrese or big and buff Sagi Kalev, but you need to be on point in some way. It's got to be on your radar. So we decided at that lunch, really, in subsequent meetings, to start this idea of a network. Meanwhile, test after test after test, about 22 different versions of the P90X infomercial, that product finally took off in 2007 and became our first billion-dollar brand. And the company had grown. We were at that point maybe 150, getting close to 200 people, and it was just growing. And we started to build this network, and we realized that, all right, if we're going to create this network, it needs to be more than just the fitness side of things, and it can't just have a multivitamin to go along to be the nutrition component. It needs something that is really going to change the model of what people get from the idea of a daily supplement. And again, I'm a pizza guy or a quesadilla guy. If it's got cheese involved, I'm about it, okay? I'm all up in the cheese. So if there could be a cheese shake, cheeseology, right? That was my first idea, cheeseology. I got shut down on that one. But no, I happened to be married to somebody who had formulated shakes for companies, for big health food companies, and so I knew what her Isabel's background was, and knowing that I'm not eating vegetables, I'm like, look, there's got to be a million people like me out there who just can't even deal with the concept of cauliflower. That a Brussels sprout, which I still don't think I've ever had to this day. I'm not kidding. I don't think I've ever had unless it somehow made it unrecognizably into a salad. I don't think I've had it. But I can now eat asparagus, I'm proud to say. But I don't like vegetables. Like, it's a forced deal. So I said to our product development team, look, work with Isabel. She's done this before, and I don't care how bad it tastes. If I just have to do a shot, I'm away from the guilt of not eating vegetables, I think that would be a good thing for people, because we get enough protein, generally, plenty of protein powders out there, and there's other where you can get fiber, or you can get your fat, a spoonful of fat, but the other stuff, the phytonutrients and this idea of vegetables are superfoods and enzymes and prebiotics and probiotics, that is not getting into my body. So I said, work with Isabel and let's see if we can develop something. And she said, no, I don't want to do it. I'm like, what? You got a ring? And she said, no, because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to develop this. I'll put everything I have into it. I've done this for other companies. I create this masterpiece that I want to consume, and then your suits are going to get involved, and they're going to ruin it because they need to make more money from it, or they're like, that's too expensive. And she said, I don't know what happened, but I don't know why people think that you can go to a fast food place, go through the drive-through, and for $2 or $3, that burger and the fries and the drink and all the stuff that you get, that people accept that low price could actually be quality and feeding you quality nutrition, and then they see something that costs $5 or $6, and they would go, well, that's just way too expensive. She goes, I don't know when we started to think that the food that we put into us needs to be as cheap as possible, but it's gotten us in trouble. And she's had health issues, and so she's like super picky. Like, I would watch her in the morning. Our house is like a vitamin barn. Most houses have food in them. We've got little bottles, like little droppers and stuff. And so I would watch her wake up and almost like intuitively like pick bottles and concoct. She'd always have this one shake that she'd bring out. She'd make this breakfast for herself. And at one point I watched her stop using this one particular powder. And I watched that a couple mornings. I said, what happened to that one that you used to use in the white bucket? And she said, I don't know, I can taste something changed. It used to taste potent, and now it doesn't anymore. And Isabel has tried everything because she helped herself heal from chronic fatigue syndrome and other autoimmune issues that she was having. And so, like, she would taste stuff and she could taste its potency. And so she said, something happened, so I just stopped. It wasn't doing anything for me. So she went out and sourced a different product. And so we actually wanted to find out what happened to that product. And we looked it up, and that company had been bought 3 months ago, 3 months before. I had asked her about that. And of course, you get a private equity company comes in, they load a bunch of debt on the company, and they're like, okay, let's find some margin here so we can pay off the debt that we just bought the company with, we want our profit. And the original founders are gone, so, you know, things start to slide down. So she picked it up. So I'm like, come on, I need you to help me create a shake that will change the model. She's like, no way, it'll be too expensive, nobody will buy it, and that's what all your corporate people will be like, no, they won't. Let's go. Let's go talk to them. So we go, talk to the finance people, and they're like, no, can't happen, it's gonna be too expensive, it's gonna cost over $100 for what you're outlining, and nobody's gonna buy that because they can get protein shakes. You know, it's one bag of powder versus another bag of powder, and both chocolate powders look identical, and they maybe smell identical. In fact, this one might smell even funnier because it's got herbs in it, and it'll just never sell. And I said, well, look, I know it's going to have at least one customer or two, and that's going to be me and her. And I promised her that I wouldn't mess with it once she formulated it, as long as we did it responsibly and didn't take risks with the formulation, that it had to be stuff that was what they call generally regarded as safe, that it's been tested enough that it's not poison, right? That's a good thing. Yeah. So we got started on it, and I can remember the first time we tasted it, it was awful. But they said, hey, there's some things that we can do that will make it taste better naturally, that'll give it, actually add to the antioxidant level of it, add to the fiber of it. So we got it concocted, and then when we first announced Shakeology, I believe it was at a leadership event one fall, and it was like a revolt of the coaches. Like, they were like, I don't know if you remember, Lee, were you there when we? Yeah, so like there was like at least half of the coaches were like, no way, $130 for a shake? No way. And that's when we introduced the challenge pack concept. And we said, well, this is what we're doing. And the thing just took off. And I had said to Darren, when we hired Darren to help Isabel with the formulation, because he was this ingredient hunter, going around, knew where all these superfoods were, knew where you could get the right farmers with the right potency, adaptogens grown at altitude that go in and help your body heal itself, biologically available nutrition. I remember sitting poolside with him, and I said, you know, we might end up selling somewhere between 10 to 25,000 bags of this a month. Like, wouldn't that be unbelievable? Like, wow, that'd be huge. And I was like, okay. So here we are now. We sell around 400,000 bags of Shakeology a month, right? At $130 between the US and Canada. Something worked about that. And we started to get testimonials from people and them saying that, oh my God, this is doing something so substantial for me, and I can't get into, I'm not even allowed to say the legal claims. But what the reality is we are helping the body heal itself. We're helping the body fuel itself in a way that it finally recognizes. Because what most companies do is they look for something that maybe Dr. Oz talked about, or some famous nutrition person that wants to make a profit. And what they do is they'll find something like, I don't know, let's use like resveratrol, that's a thing, right? So they're like, ooh, resveratrol, it's in wine or it's in apples? I don't know where it comes from. I think it might come from wine.
Yeah.
Okay, so grapes maybe.
Yeah.
Wine?
Grape skins.
Grape skin, okay. So let's just take that out and say you don't have to get wine, you can get it from a pill. And what they do is they isolate it. And what the premise is that instead of, the body, it goes in the body, and the body, like the cells, which are whole inside your body, go, that's resveratrol there, but it doesn't have all the other stuff that was around it that I used to recognize, that I used to do stuff with it. Science doesn't even understand how all these processes work yet. They're discovering stuff all the time, understanding what the underlying energies are, what the underlying enzymatic and catalytic reactions between your cells and those cells that you consume, that we had thought you could just isolate, and we're realizing that you actually need the whole organism of millions of years of evolution. You need the whole organism to recognize the other organism for it to actually do its thing, the potent or active that you're consuming. So that was Isabel's premise at the beginning with Shakeology. Whole food nutrition, so that when you put it in, so it just looks like powder, but it's ground up. It's these adaptogens ground up. It's these phytonutrients or herbs ground up. The fiber from the whole plant ground up, so that the body, when it gets it, it goes, oh yeah, I know what that is. I understand those antioxidants, and now I have the enzymes to be able to digest them and put them to work. And so they were having this incredible effect on people's biology and the way they felt, so that they were digesting better. That's a big deal for people. They were getting natural energy, so that they didn't need more caffeine, because caffeine just sort of undermines your energy. The more you drink it, the more it undermines, the more you need it. It's kind of this weird addiction that takes you, because it sort of, the way caffeine works, it sort of punches your adrenal glands. It's like, wake up! And it does that, and eventually the adrenal glands are like, I'm tapped, man. So the bigger the cup gets, the more you tap in your adrenal glands. So Shakeology was giving people energy without more caffeine. It was helping them, because it was feeding them this whole food nutrition, it was suppressing the appetite for longer. Particularly women in the middle of their cycle, like premenstrual, they weren't having the same hunger pangs or sugar cravings that they used to have. And all this stuff that we're studying in clinical trials, but that's what we were seeing from customers that were first trying this. So it just grew up and up and up. And here's the dynamic that happened. So over the course of 2012, 2013, people start to make money. Not everybody, but some people really get it. They have their story, they're sharing their story. People will be like, how are you making so much money? Like, I'm just sharing my story on Facebook, on Instagram. I'm telling people why this is working for me, and it's attracting more people, and the more people, and the coaches that hustled, that got that story out there and helped more people get results, so that those people were walking billboards, just like the premise started, that John and I talked about at that lunch, was actually happening. And we attracted people who were like, oh my God, I got these incredible results, I feel better about myself, and nobody around me can believe it, so they want to do what I'm doing. And what happened was, they started to make money. This group of coaches, let's call them about 3,000 coaches out of the hundreds of thousands, really started to be like, go up. And so you see them on Facebook, and big houses, and you got new cars, and a boat, and kids going to college, and people are like, I want to do that. And whatever you're doing, I want to do that. And we started to see a change from this thing being, this concept where a person gets results, their results start to create demand for the product, people then go, I want to do that product too, they get results, and then they help other people get results. It became this thing, let me sell that, and while I'm selling it, I'll get to know it. And that became just an empty exchange. It became like every other network. And by every other network, I'm not saying anything bad about other network marketing companies, but ours is very different. And in fact, that was the one sort of fight that John and I had, because he had a really bad experience with a network marketing. A friend of his was doing network marketing. He's like, I just think it's gross. I think it's weird to monetize your friends. And the way we sort of got over that was the premise that our transaction, the value exchanged, doesn't really happen on the sale. The value exchanged happens as a person gets results. If a coach wants to make money, they've got to help people get results so that they stick around, so that they believe in Shakeology and continue to buy it, so that they become a product, proof the product works, a product of the product, and attract more people. That's how the business grows. But if it's just about, let's use candles for an example from a network marketing perspective, because there are, I think there's a network marketing company that's a candle company, or use soap. Let's use soap. There's an old one that's soap. So if I sell you soap, I'm like, hey, we get some unbelievable soap, and I sell it to you. You're like, oh, cool. And I'm like, by the way, everybody that comes over to your house is going to try this soap, and their hands are going to get so clean. They're going to be like, how can I get some of that soap? And you're like, well, I happen to sell it. And you'd be like, oh, awesome, I got a box right in the garage. I can sell you some of this. And by the way, you can buy 2 of them, and then you can sell one of the boxes, and you can make money on the soap too. And you're like, awesome. But what doesn't happen is the people don't go, well, who's going to help me use the soap? You don't need the help using the soap. You just bought the soap, you're going to go use it. But our products, this is the difference. This is why we don't call you distributors, you're coaches. Because the problem we are solving is not how hard it is to get access to fitness. You can go to YouTube and get fitness for free, or you can just buy our products. You can buy them directly from Beachbody. That's not the problem that we're solving. You can go buy any old nutrition plan. You can buy a book, Whole30. You can go figure it out. The problem is nobody follows it through unless they've got an accountability partner or some influence, some reason to follow it through. That's the real opportunity to help 266 million people who are overweight or obese. We got away from that when the exchange became more like the soap, where it was like, let me just see if I can sell this and move on and sell it again. And that's what my group has been working on, to get back to being coaches and remind each other, this is what it's like to be a coach, this is what we do, and to sort of team up and circle the wagons and make sure that our teams are operating in that same way. And we're starting to see a turn. And that turn is meaningful. That turn matters. Here's why this opportunity, that you are nice enough to come out on a, what's today, Thursday? You're nice enough to come out on a Thursday night, a hot day, and sit in a room with the CEO and hear this story. You're kind enough to do that because there's also an enormous, magnificent opportunity of 2 types. One type is there's 266 million overweight or obese people in North America alone. 2 billion worldwide. Imagine that. A market in the United States that is where the demand has not been met. We all take for granted right now that that gym over there, that's the place where real fitness happens. Over there, I go to the gym and then get a smoothie at the juice bar. And my health happens over there, and then I go home. And the kids are complaining, and we're all whining, and then we get the cheese puffs out of the thing, and we sit and we watch TV, and then they want cupcakes. It's somebody's birthday. Jimmy came over, and it's his birthday, so we all have the cupcakes. And so with the health, this happens over there, but here we can do whatever we want. And there's an opportunity for us to change that. But why would we want to change that? Why would we want to change that? Why would that possibly be an opportunity that we could tap into to create billions of dollars of wealth for the people doing the work? Here's why. I think we are the first generation that our children have a shorter lifespan than ours because of lifestyle. Can you imagine that? We are accepting that as a species. We are accepting that the kids walking around us in general, have a shorter lifespan than us because of sugar addiction, because of lethargy, inactivity, just bad nutrition overall, because water has been replaced with soda and energy drinks and so on. We've got to change that. We've got an opportunity to change that because we've got an instinct to want to perpetuate the species here. And I think in general, we see the opportunity that people want to live with a better self-esteem, they want to have more energy, they want to feel better about themselves, and they really like to do stuff. As compelling as the phone is, it's not nearly as much fun as going out and doing stuff and seeing your kids go out and do stuff. We have this amazing opportunity where 1 in 3 people over the age of 40 in North America are pre-diabetic, okay? 1 in 3 over 40 are pre-diabetic. What's that mean? That means if they continue with their nutrition the way it is and their inactivity, it is likely that they will click over into type 2 diabetes. And we can avoid that. If we don't avoid that, each one of them that clicks over, that's basically $10,000 comes out of the healthcare system. So right now we got this whole health insurance debate going on in Washington. That's health insurance. It's not health care. It's not wellness. It's health insurance. billions of dollars of expense. $280 billion per year going to treat diabetes. Many of those cases which can be avoided. Here we are, the one company in the world with the entire comprehensive solution that can be delivered in an efficient way. Let me say that again. You here, you coaches, are a part of the one company in the world that has put together the whole solution. But it's not just that aren't we the greatest company, fitness and nutrition, but there's also this missing ingredient which makes all the difference, and that is peer support that you don't have to pay for. Do you understand how valuable and magnificent this business model is that you're a part of? But we just got to get it right. We got to get it back on the rails of where people see the opportunity from the perspective of, how can I get people to believe in this product, to drink this shake for 30 days? When they're used to going to that gym and they do the workout and they have the shake. How are we going to get people to try this shake for 30 days? We got to get them to do these workouts for 30 days. Well, that's where we step up and we say, it's worked for me. This is my story. Now you do it, and I'll give you a 30-day money-back guarantee. Try to do that over at the gym. Try to do that at the juice bar. Go to the juice bar for 30 days. Say, I'll have that smoothie, $5. Thank you very much. You bring it right in front of the guy. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Go back. Do it 30 days. On the 30th day, say, oh, you want your smoothie again? Yep. There's your $5. You get it. You drink that whole thing. Get that straw all in the corners. Get it all up. It's like, you really like that smoothie, don't you? You're like, hold on one second. You get it all up? No. You put the cup down and say, I'd like my money back for the last month. And he'll laugh at you and say, what are you talking about? We are trying to change lives, and we're so confident in the quality of the shake that it's not a trick, it's not a gimmick, but we risk $130 of income, a very expensive formulation, and say to people, we are confident enough that your body will change and your life will change, that will give you your money back if it doesn't work. You can't get that at the juice bar, you can't get that from your gym membership, usually, not that I know of anyway. And we ask people to come into this ecosystem where of challenge groups and challengers where they're going to be held accountable to a goal that they said they had. It's an outrageously compelling model if the coach at the center of it feels like they have the right to be able to stand up and help people. And that is actually the most eye-opening thing that I've learned over the course of the last, I guess it's been about 52 days that I've been running this group. And it's the most, it's actually a combination of the most surprising thing about this group and the thing that makes me a little sad about the group. And that is how many people in the group don't feel like they have the right to be coaches. Who am I to be a coach? And I actually experienced it firsthand when I had that first group up in Salt Lake, up in Utah, when there was this guy who was really hitting me about the shake and how expensive it was. It's like, he's saying, you know, you have to mark that up because you got to pay all these people. You want to help people, but you got to pay all these people. That's why it's $130. I'm thinking, well, yeah, I do have to pay these people. And that is part of why it's $130, because I got to pay these people. And it's like, you know, what's so special about it? And I'm like, well, you know, I'm not a chemist. I got a D in chemistry in high school, but, you know, I got smart people around me. And I'm talking about adaptogens, and I'm kind of stumbling about the herbs and the phytonutrients, and I'm sort of on my heels, and I'm kind of intellectually backing up off of the guy, and I'm like, I don't know, he might be right. And all of a sudden I'm in my head and I'm thinking, I'm the CEO of this company and I'm a failure. I have no right. If I really want to help people, I should only charge $70 for this shake. And I can't pay you guys. He's right, I'm trying to help people. Let me get him the shake for $70. And then it was like some flash went off. Like it just snapped me out of it. I was like, oh, wait a minute. This guy wouldn't be in this room hearing about this shake if it weren't for the people that are talking about it around him, who have taken the risk, who got the results, and deserve to get paid for helping people stay consistent on that shake. You know the biggest problem with drug companies, with drugs that will save people's lives, is getting them to take it. right? Now, we're not a drug company. We're not saying that Shakeology is a drug, but my point is that getting people to follow through with consumption of the very thing that will save them is not easy. But we have this Challenge Tracker app where you can get people, I took my shake. Good for you. I recognize you for drinking that shake. And then we've got these coaches that do that, hold people accountable to it. They deserve that money, man. We're only talking about $5 here. If I walk in to buy a pair of jeans at the Gap, I'll walk in, I'll tell the lady my size, she'll point to a pile, I'll grab a few jeans, I'll go into the dressing room, get them underwear, try them on, look pretty good, my butt looks good, all right. I'm gonna take these 2 pairs, I go, I wait in line, I buy them, and I guarantee you that store or that chain made 50% of whatever I just paid, and I'm the one that had to try them on. They didn't button them for me or anything. I had to do it. So it's okay that we make money with this because nobody knows about this unless you heroes tell them about it. So I sort of I straightened up, and I didn't confront the guy, but I was like, no way. It's okay. And it's the same thing for our coaches. Our coaches are entitled to offer to help people achieve their goals. And in fact, it came out of our group. One time a person said that she finishes conversations, when she's in the middle of a conversation and somebody starts to get defensive, like, no, don't try to convince me. She'll say, I'm not trying to convince you, I'm trying to help you. You said you have a goal. I'm trying to help you. And the example that I use, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself for anybody who's come to events recently, but the example that I use about having the right and the need for you as coaches to do what you're doing is, let's use a situation that is as deadly as the trend of diabetes or lifestyle disease or obesity. You see, you're walking down the sidewalk, and you see, oh, that's a pretty house over there. And you see, there's a lady on the porch, and wave, and there she is on her. Oh, you see smoke and flames coming off the top of that house. You're like, that house is on fire, and that lady's on the porch, and that house is on fire, and she could really get hurt from that. But I'm not a firefighter. I'm really not allowed to. I have no expertise. I can't go. She's going to think I'm rude if I say, "Lady, get off your porch. Your house is burning." But we don't react that way. You go up and say, "Lady, your house is burning. I have a way to help you get off the porch." So what we're doing as coaches, as advocates and accountability partners, is saying, when we start the dialogue with somebody about what their goals are, about how they like to feel, about how they'd like to inspire their kids, what kind of family would they like to run, we have the right to say, why don't you join this challenge group? I've got this thing starting July 24th called Shift Shop. I'm going to see if I can get 20 people to do it with me. It's a 3-week program where we gradually ramp up over the course of 25 minutes, 35 minutes to 45 minutes. 3 weeks, you can lose 15 pounds, no problem, 20 pounds, some people have lost, and you can get incredible shape, and you follow this very simple nutrition plan, and you drink this shake. And they go, well, I don't know. And you go, great, well, you have the goal to lose 15 pounds, right? You want to lose 15 pounds before the end of summer. Why don't you do this with me? If that is your goal, and if I can't help you, if at any point during those 3 weeks you're not happy with the results, we'll get you your money back. Do you want to lose the 15 pounds? Yes, I do. Is this cheaper than a gym that you've joined or a personal trainer? Isn't this cheaper than 3 or 4 of those SoulCycle classes that you're doing and more consistent for you? Don't you want the results? Yes, I do. Well, then let's do it, and if you don't get the result, let's get your money back. Do you see how magnificent that model is? Like, it's perfect, but it's hard because coaches are not expected to be fitness experts or nutrition experts, and because of that, our coaches feel a little bit like, or they get intimidated by some of the super coaches that we've got here that are so good, like, well, I'm not as good as her, or I'm not as good as him, I haven't lost as much weight, I'm still working on my 6-pack, or my people say, how dare you? How dare you be a coach? You're still 30 pounds overweight. Okay, let me tell you, how dare you be a coach? Because I'm going through the same thing, and I can identify with a person who breaks down after 14 days of doing this, because I broke down after 14 days of doing it, but you know how I kept going? You know how I'm in my 30th day? Because my coach helped me. So I'm on my path. I'm going to help people get on their path. I don't have to be a hard body to help people get on their path. What I do is connect them with the right program, make sure they're drinking the right shake that's going to help them, and get them to eat food out of little containers. They're colorful and fantastic. That's what we do. We help people, and we get joy out of helping people. And the more people that we help, the more people we attract. And that's the way the cycle works. The more people we help, the more people we attract, more money we make. More people we help, more people we attract, more money we make. More people become coaches. More people we help, more people attract, more money we make, more people want to become coaches. As long as we do it, help, attract, then the money, then the coach. See, that's the cycle. If it's done in that way, it's legit. We are legit coaches. As long as you start it from the perspective of, how do I help? You're creating something that is absolutely stunning in the world, because it doesn't happen. Most people lead with their wallet. Most people lead with greed glands. But if we're the ones saying, let me make sure it works for you. And, we get blowback from coaches. Oh, man, lost a success point from last month. It took the money out of my account because of that money back guarantee. Every time that happens, if you're a coach, you should be like, good one, Beachbody. That didn't work for that person. I don't want that person on my list. I don't want that person on Facebook saying this didn't work and they kept my money. No, you want them to have their money back because for some reason the timing wasn't right. We know the product works if you work it. If the timing's wrong for somebody, get the money back. Good job, Beachbody. Good job, Team Beachbody. Get the people their money back if it doesn't work. See, it's perfect. It's perfect, this business model. So, here we are. I'm thirsty. Yeah. So here we are. We have this outrageously strong opportunity. 266 million people, and then we look at the globe, 2 billion people. And I'm thinking, how is it possible that all these coaches that hands go up, with all these people suffering, literally suffering and angry with themselves, and they look in the mirror and they don't like what they see, and they turn on themselves and they punish themselves for it. Like literally, like subconsciously, bad me. I just had a donut, and I get 30 seconds of enjoyment, and I'm going to punish myself for the whole day about this. I'm going to over-exercise and hurt myself. It's just all out of whack. With that, hold on. Oh, that was so good. Okay, so with all that suffering out there, from lifestyle that we were taught, from TV, from parents not knowing any better, or it just tastes good, it's just fun, and that gratification. We have so much stress in our lives now that we need some gratification, but it leads to this suffering. With all that, why is it that you as coaches can't sell a challenge pack a day? Because I would think, with all that, personally, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm just going to stand on the street and I'm just going to talk to people. It's going to be like, you get a challenge pack and you get a challenge. They're like Oprah. You get a challenge pack and you get a challenge pack and you. Like, I would just think everybody would want thing, money back guarantee, money back guarantee, money back guarantee. So here I am now. I'm working with our coaches. I'm learning. I'm understanding. Change some of the product mix. Change some of the things that we're going to announce at Summit. But I want to hear from you now. Well, how are we doing on time? Did I go too long so far? No, we're good. Right on money. So we got, let's call it a half hour. What questions can I answer? What are you struggling with? Maybe it's more important than a question. Tell me what you're struggling with, and let's unpack it and see if we can